Qatar was awarded the FIFA 2022 World Cup. I likened it to the city of Beverly Hills, California, being given the Olympic Games. Not only was that landscape not equipped to handle a tournament of that magnitude, but it was also not a city or a place associated with sports. But just like Beverly Hills, Qatar is a very lucrative landscape and has endless financial capabilities that can pull off and build all the infrastructure needed to pull off such a massive tournament. In a soccer sense, this is going to be the most unique soccer and sporting event ever for several reasons. Firstly, the FIFA World Cup is typically held during the Northern Hemisphere summer months, during which time the major leagues of the world, which are namely the English Premier League, Italy's Serie A, Spain's La Liga, and the German Bundesliga, as well as France's Ligue 1, are all on hiatus. And these are the leagues that are home to 99.9% of the best soccer players in the world. This year, the World Cup will shut down all of these leagues for 1 month while it has its tournament in Qatar, which is just extraordinary. Take the English Premier League, for example, where there are 520 professional players across 20 teams. So for the other several hundred players and for thousands of players across Europe, they are basically going to put their seasons on hold for a month and watch the tournament on TV. To put it in perspective for American fans, it would be like Major League Baseball putting its season on hold in the middle of the season in June and having its players or a chunk of their players go to another continent to play in a global tournament while the majority of players wait around for a month for the tournament to run its course and the players to resume. Or better yet, for NBA fans, imagine when the All-Star break came around in February and instead of pausing for a few days to execute their All-Star weekend, imagine that the league was shut down for a month so FIBA, the world governing body, could have a world championship tournament while the rest of the league were put on pause for a whole month. But that's exactly what's going to happen to the elite players that do play in Europe that are going to Qatar to represent their countries in the FIFA World Cup. They will basically put their domestic league campaigns on hold and Champions League runs while they play for their country, while other players who are not going to the tournament essentially wait around for the tournament to finish. But for the players there, it's going to be a huge psychological challenge to shift gears because most of these players that play for their national teams, they generally enter these camps in hotels for 3 to 7 days and then return to their club teams. So this is going to be a huge mental adjustment for the players that are playing at Qatar 2022. The other factor is geography and weather. And weather is actually the main reason that the World Cup had to have been moved from mid-year to November because, for example, in June 2022, which is a month that usually sees the World Cup being played, Qatar recorded a year-high temperature of 48 degrees Celsius or 118 degrees Fahrenheit. Luckily, it won't be anywhere near as hot as that when the tournament is played in November, with temperatures not expecting to exceed 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And I actually think all these ingredients and factors will basically allow for some unexpected countries to make it deep into the tournament or maybe even win it because of the unusual nature of this World Cup. Specifically, I'm talking about countries such as Japan and South Korea from Asia, from Africa, Cameroon, Ghana, and Senegal, Uruguay from South America, and even traditional outsiders such as the United States and Australia. I'm not much of a prognosticator, but Having represented national team players and knowing of their experience going into World Cups, burnout could be a major factor. So, if some of these players and high profile teams, such as France and others, experience early setbacks in the tournament, you might find a tendency for many of these stars to basically go into self-preservation mode and essentially allow themselves to have an early exit so they can start preparing and resting and looking forward to the resumption of their professional club tournaments domestically and in the Champions League. And for the smaller country teams that don't have players that are playing in strong domestic competitions or the Champions League to look forward to post World Cup, they could be more motivated and highly driven to really have a strong World Cup campaign and exert a lot more energy and enthusiasm than the big stars playing for the bigger countries. And remember, most of the top elite players in the world earn over 95% of their salary from their club competitions, not playing for their national team. So players in the smaller countries, they earn more money at tournaments like this than playing for their domestic leagues. So again, extra motivation for these players and national teams. Either way, this is going to be one of the most unique and most surprising FIFA World Cups ever. And with all of those unusual elements, will create the most level playing field ever in the tournament. I'm truly looking forward to being entertained, shocked, bedazzled, and stunned throughout this tournament.